Let's remind our audience where the event is going to be held and who is it open to?
Well, this is open to the public, so everyone is invited. We've got a great Facebook event page, and it'll be at 380 North La Cadena Drive in Colton. That's 92324 for those of you who are punching it in your map devices. It's really easy to get to.
All right, now what is the website that people would go to find out more information about the event on May 9th?
Log into your Facebook and Sabor de Colton or Taste of Colton. We're bilingual. And you'll get a little bit of the diversity that we'll be bringing that day on the 3rd Annual Museum Day on May 7th, 12 to 4 p.m.
Of course, we know there's going to be music, food, cycling, and there's going to be so much more at this Taste of Colton event.
The purpose of the Taste of Colton is to bring the community together in a building which has stood since 1908.
She used to love me when the sun not in the sky.
My name is Mario. I'm the event coordinator for this year's Museum Day.
She has another guy. She says when certain music plays, she thinks of me, and she ain't the only one thinking. I'm thinking about her all the time.
And the Museum Day is really about the museum, to get folks who didn't know about the museum to come here, if not for a second time, for the first time. As we go around and pan around and see the various elements of the museum, you'll see a lot of baseball history, which is a huge part of Colton. Of course, believe it or not, the Earp family settled here. Virgil Earp came over to the city and settled here and lived just down the street on 8th Street. And his home is still there. It's a landmark of the city. The museum consists of various displays, and when you walk into the Earp house, this is actually also just recently renovated by some of the members of the Earp family. They actually still live in Colton, own property. Mr. Don Earp is on our Historic Preservation Commission, so it's always wonderful to hear from him and to make this part of the museum, which is part of his family. So you'll see the old pictures of the Wild West, which is an important component of California, of course, and the settlement of California. On the other side of the museum, you'll see some other collectible and artifacts of the city. So when we look at dresses or dress wear during the 1920s, or you look at important people that have become a part of the local history, you'll see them on the wall, as well as one of the first Latinos in town on the wall with Mr. Peter Luque. The Taste of Colton is part of bringing many factions of the city together. The city is also in the process of transition. The council, the mayor and city council want to see some change happen, and so we've provided that for them, for instance, on 8th Street. So they could actually see a street transform, and we've created some new landscaping on the street, created new parking, created a cycle track for folks to come and see.
Technical urbanism really is putting out demonstration projects, particularly along the street. It's very cost effective, it's temporary, but it's a good way to really feel the environment with the new features that are being put into place. And so having these demonstrations is a great opportunity to really show not only the residents, city staff, even adjacent cities, various agencies that are funding these projects to say, hey, you know what? That's a great idea. The city really needs it. The city really wants it. Let's go get it built.
So there are two things that we're doing with this street here. This is a very wide street here, almost in the middle of Colton, the city of Colton. And what we're showing is how a very wide street could actually be reconfigured very easily with some paint, very inexpensive paint. And we could then have diagonal parking and a bicycle track. The type of paint that they're using here, the engineers are using here, is a water-based paint, but they also have added other components to it that makes it very, very soluble. So you could very easily just wash it off without a problem. So even after the event this afternoon, we'll be able to just wash it off. And in the bicycle path, it's the same concept. You know, if you see the yellow mark, the yellow line there, and the curve here, we're basically cutting that almost in half, and part of it, half of it, is going to be used for the bicycle. And we're going to delineate actually a two-way bicycle track in this case, and we're also going to have, as you can see already, some trees, and we're going to have some shrubs in between and some other markers, so that way bicyclists can drive here and feel safe and know that they're not going to have any issues with cars driving by.
So what we have here is a series of planters and shrubs and some mock-up planters that we developed, and really what it is to delineate the roadway from the protected bike facility. We worked with local nurseries to provide the shrubs. What we like to use is something that has different heights, so you have a nice sense of scale as you go up and down the cycle track. You can garner much more support by people experiencing it and then going up to their city council members, going up to the city staff and saying, hey, we want this built in our street. We like it. It's safe for our kids. Can we get it built?
What is really interesting is that this street that normally is only for cars, it's also going to then start incentivizing people to use their bicycles and get out and bicycle around the town by having a very nice and secure bicycle track.
So this street here, existing conditions consist of parallel parking. So what we're able to do is switch it over to angled parking, and what we're able to do is add additional parking actually to the street. But not only we're able to help the businesses by adding additional parking, but it also narrowed the travel lane. So rather than a 15, 16, 17-foot travel lane, we were able to get it down to 12 to 13 feet. That way, the cars can travel the street a lot slower on both sides of the street, but it also increases the parking capacity of the street itself. And that's very important to really want to slow some cars down, particularly through the downtown neighborhood. But in general, it really does add additional parking space so the residents that are coming from out of town have a place to park, and also providing the cycle track for the local residents to be able to access the downtown area by foot or by bike.
So on H Street is one component. On G Street is the other component, which includes the community as well as the business community. You'll see local restaurants there. You'll also see local artists, and as well as artists from the region. And so that's why you see most of the council members come to this event. The museum, of course, needs some updating, and so this area we hope to dedicate, or find an area in the museum where we're going to dedicate to South Colton. People come here to do research and to research their history, or they come back to reunite with people that they know. So we do have that component. We do have a research and photography center downstairs. We're still in our infancy and are looking for people to become docents, to people to become members of the museum that would help in this industrialist project, which is preserving the city. There used to be a whole city that was walkable and with mixed use, and homes next to the businesses. And we're going to try to revitalize that through and bring it back through the planning efforts of the city, as well as through many projects that will come in the future. This is exactly what the event was about, and that was our objective, to bring people to the museum on Museum Day. And this could happen hopefully every year. We hope that this event does that as a kickoff for future events.
Y la gente se pregunta, nadie sabe qué es. Un carro viejo que viene pitando, puñetes de triciclo y el motor al revés. En la esquina yo esperando, como siempre esto no me hacía. Mis amigas se están burlando, murmurando cosas. pasito, no nos vayas a dejar, no, no. Gargacha, poco a pasito, no dejes de tambalear. Gargacha, poco a poquito, no nos vayas a dejar. ¡Échale! Mira, muchacha, que no me arrepiento y tampoco